Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever keyboard review. Today we will be looking at the eSports F12 with Polia switches. This is my first ever keyboard review, so please feel free to let me know if anything is great or horrible about this video. This keyboard is a 65% keyboard with a stunning lavender and white keycap colorway. The one I ordered is pre-lubed and it sounds really good. Like really good for pre-lubing. The keyboard comes with Kalih Polia switches. These switches operate at around 62 grams and bottom out at around 75. In the box, you will find the keyboard itself, a USB Type-C cable, a keycap puller, a switch puller, and some manuals. All of these takes are going to be based purely off the keyboard stock. Since mine is pre-lubed, I will also be basing it off of that. I'm not much of a keyboard expert, since this is my first mechanical keyboard, and all of this will, of course, be of my own opinion and based on my experience with the board. With all of that out of the way, let's get on to the review. Okay, so these Kalih Polia switches are really good, for a beginner especially. These switches are supposed to be pretty heavy, but from my experience it feels more like the weight of a Cherry MX Brown, and maybe a bit heavier. The tactile feedback on these switches are decent. They aren't anything special in terms of tactility, but what I'm trying to say is that these switches don't have a very sharp tactility. They feel like something between a tactile and linear switch. It is a very light tactile feeling, but since you feel the bump, unlike a certain tactile switch, it feels like a tactile switch. I'm not sure I would use these switches for gaming, as I don't like the feeling of pressing these keys super fast. In my opinion, when you press these keys really fast, it feels a bit mushy and you don't get as much of a tactile feeling since you're going so fast. However, these switches are extremely good for typing. Like, holy shit, these feel so good when typing. I forgot to do only the switches. You go with my crappy mic on the phone. You probably cannot hear anything. Moving on to the stabilizers. Stabilizers I got are pretty good since they were pre-lubed evenly. So there isn't any rattle that happens when I press the keys with the stabs. I suspect that the keyboard I got, though, was extremely lucky to get because I don't think these keyboards are consistent in being lubed properly. I looked through a couple videos on other people who bought this keyboard, and some sounded extremely rattly and had uneven lubing. So unless you're going to lube this keyboard manually, you're going to have to take a gamble on this keyboard's stock. So the keycaps on this keyboard are absolutely gorgeous, and are the reason for most people to get this keyboard. I don't blame those people at all. The keycaps are double shot PBT, so they won't wear out as fast as something like ABS. There isn't anything else to say about the keycaps other than they are absolutely stunning. They work and look aesthetic. This keyboard goes at around $110 to $150 USD, depending on where you buy it and the shipping costs, etc. I got this with 10 novel key creams, so it ended up at around 130 and 120 without the extra switches. If you want the link to the keyboard that I also bought it from, I'll leave that down below in the description. And now, for the typing test. My mic isn't so great for picking this up and muffles it a lot. I wish that I could give you a better sound test, but you really just have to get the keyboard to find out how it sounds. Mine sounds extremely thocky, and I love that, but then again, it isn't guaranteed that you'll get the same keyboard when you buy it. I forgot to mention that it's hot swappable. My bad, I'm on my phone, bruh. Good enough. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope for at least a couple comments of feedback on this video since I worked really hard to make it. Make sure to leave a like if you found this video somewhat helpful or somewhat useful, or if you liked it in general. And make sure to dislike this video if you didn't. Subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in another video, hopefully. Yeah, whatever. This was bizarre.